The end of that book had me staring off into the distance thinking, damn, she got me. She really got me. Crash. Let's maybe not topple the tower of books. Welcome back to the chaos. My name is Ivy and we talk about books. Today, I'm going to be talking about my 2024 superlatives. So all of my awards for the best and the worst books that I read in 2024. I spent quite a long time coming up with all of these categories, so let's just go over them. When I started pulling books for this, I did not put them in order. And I should have, because my life would be significantly easier right now. Let's start with the longest and shortest books that I read. For shortest book, I am not considering anything under 100 pages. I read plenty of little short stories throughout the year, so only 100 pages and up. We have Scream for Us by Molly Doyle. This is 102 pages. Super quick read, but so worth it. If you like masked men, you're gonna like this. It was so good, especially for only being 100 pages. And I mean, it's come on now. It's big font. It's really spaced out. It's not going to take you long to read this, and it's worth it. For longest physical book, Kingdom of Ash. I have that at 980 pages. Absolute behemoth. It was the first full book that I read in 2024, and it happened to be the longest. My tandem read of Empire of Storm and Tower of Dawn spilled over into the new year, so that was the first full book that I read in 2024. And it was enormous, and it took a very long time. For audiobooks, the shortest audiobook I have listed as The Last to Die at 4 hours and 45 minutes. I don't remember a ton about it, so it didn't make a huge impression on me. The longest audiobook, and I enjoyed every minute of it, Entangled by Rebecca Quinn. 21 hours, 46 minutes, worth every second. And I still, I will go back and re-listen to my favorite parts. I am obsessed. Absolutely worth it. Next we have the most surprising book. I have two contenders for this. The first is Confounding Oaths by Alexis Hall. Confounding Oaths is the sequel to Mortal Follies. Mortal Follies was okay, in my opinion. It was 3.75 stars. So the fact that Confounding Oaths was 4.75 stars, almost a 5-star read, that was shocking to me. But I just enjoyed the characters more. I was used to the writing style at that point, and the story, I feel was just better constructed. There was more to draw me into it. So that was super shocking to me that I still wanted to read it, but going in, I didn't have a ton of hope for it. It surprised me. Can someone tell me why I'm losing weight in my finger, of all places? Why won't my ring stay on? I can't lose weight anywhere else except in my finger. Anyway, the next contender, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This ended up being a 6-star read for me. I loved every second of reading this book. And it's so funny because reading the back of it, reading the description on Amazon, having read it, knowing I love it, knowing it's a 6-star read, I'm still pass. Even the description isn't really something that would draw me in. I went into this book completely blind. I knew nothing about it. I knew that I kept seeing it on TikTok and everyone recommended it, and I had to figure out what all the hype was about. That's all I knew about it going in. I knew nothing else. So even reading the description, I'm so glad that I never did, that I went in blind, because I loved this book. But even knowing I love it, reading the description, I'm still not for me. So I feel this has to be the winner. Most overhyped books. Don't come for me. I have 3. The first should come as no surprise. The Atlas 6. I didn't care for this. I really tried to get into it. I think maybe I need to read and listen to it at the same time. Maybe that will help me get into... Oh, hello. I didn't even... Because I listened to the audiobook, I didn't know. I had no idea there was artwork in the paperback. I am shocking myself. But I feel maybe I need to read and listen and do a more immersive read. As of now, it just wasn't for me. I think it's overhyped for what it is. But to be fair, maybe it's just not my genre. Vicious. I think Vicious is incredibly overhyped. I kept hearing people talk about it. I kept hearing people recommend it. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I enjoyed reading it. I just think it's overhyped. I think people recommend it more than it's worth. And lastly, Brian, don't you dare come for me on this, because I know you will. Never Lie by Frida McFadden. My best friend and I had a conversation about this. He loved Never Lie. He thought it was brilliant. I'm like, did we read the same book? I think it's overrated. I don't think it's Frida McFadden's best work. In fact, I'm like, I don't understand why people keep recommending this like it's God's gift to the thriller genre. It's okay. It wasn't bad, but it is so overhyped in my opinion. There are so many better Frida McFadden books out there. You can leave that one off the list. Most underhyped. I have technically 4. First being The Brutes of Bristlebrook. That's why I say it's technically 4, because there are 2 books out in Brutes of Bristlebrook. The third is pending, but these books are not for everybody, okay? These are heavy, high protocol BDSM scenarios. That's not gonna be for everyone, and that is okay. If that's not you, then skip these books. I don't want you to read these books. I don't want you to like have a negative opinion, because they are so good. Oh, they are so good. But I don't want you to think that they're horrible just because the content matter isn't for you. Dating and Dragons. This is the sequel to Dungeons and Drama. I have not read Dungeons and Drama yet, but I want to after reading Dating and Dragons. It was so cute. It was so fun. It was so good. I was like, yes. Just yes. It was 5 stars. It reminded me a lot of me and my friend group, and I absolutely loved it. I'm so glad that was one of my last reads of 2025, because it was a great way to end the year, and I wish more people were talking about it. Go get the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition while you're able to, because it has a bonus chapter. And lastly, I have not seen anyone talk about this book, and for the life of me, I don't know why. The Vanishing Bookstore. This book was phenomenal. I feel like this book was made for me. I was listening to the audiobook. I loved it. It touched me. I feel like it was made for me because I love everything Salem witch trials, and this book follows a family of witches that were persecuted in 1692 Salem, and they are under Giles Corey's curse. So they continue to be reincarnated with the same circumstances in different eras. One of them always dies first. One of them always dies before the age of 35. They always have the same circumstances, and they can't access all of their magic to break the curse. Every time they're reincarnated, they're trying to figure out the same thing. How do we get our magic? How do we break the curse? And finally, live their lives to the fullest. It is such a good story. I cannot believe that no one is talking about this. I don't understand why, because it is so good. And because literally no one's talking about it, I feel like that has to win for most underhyped. Best cover. Come on now. You can't tell me that isn't a badass cover. My husband made that, by the way. Look, it's freaking gorgeous. Are you kidding? Heart of Fire and Darkness, and that's a dragon. Did you see? That is a dragon, and it continues all the way around. How is this not the best cover? But leaving my personal feelings out of it, Still Beating, I love the locket. That was what kind of drew me to that book. I think it's really pretty. I think the cover is probably the best thing about that book. The first third of it was good. The rest of it, not so much. If I Stopped Haunting You, I love this. Something about it. It fits the vibe of the book. I feel like this is the perfect cover for that book. And it's cute. It's cute to look at. Two Twisted Crowns. It's just a beautiful, haunting cover. Mortal Follies. The reason I first looked at this book to begin with was because of the cover. That is such an interesting looking cover. I haven't seen anything like that before. God of Malice. Are you kidding me? Yes. That's the reason I wanted to read that book, and only that. Princess of Air. This is a stunning cover. It is absolutely beautiful. If I ever do more romantic leaning fantasy, because I do have romance in my book, don't get me wrong, I do, and spice. But if I ever go more romantic and kind of light and airy. I feel like I want to hire that cover artist. Scream for us. It's simple, but it's effective and it's pretty. And it's my vibe. It's my style. I love Halloween purple. Like, just yes. Taken by Katarina Martinez. I just think it's stunning. It's beautiful. And I kind of want to be her. And last, The Vanishing Bookstore. Honestly, I can't pick a favorite. I literally can't. There are too many good ones, and I like them all for different reasons. But I would say that my top ones are God of Malice, Taken, The Vanishing Bookstore, Heart of Fire and Darkness, and Two Twisted Crowns. Favorite couple. Okay, there's a lot, and I don't know that I can pick just one. Let's start out strong. Violet and Xaden. I mean, come on. They are the power couple right now. You knew Lights Out was gonna be on here. Honestly, they're probably gonna win, but we have a few other contenders. Everyone's favorite throuple. You have no idea how many times I had to do that take to say it right. Sean, Dominic, and Cecilia. The entire polycule of the Brutes of Bristlebrook. But I do have a soft spot for Lucky and Jasper. Butcher and Blackbird. How can you not love a pair of serial killers that fall in love with each other? Like, that's just perfect. The 7-Year Slip. God of Ruin. I hated Landon going into that book. Loved him by the end of it. Top tier. Two Twisted Crowns. How can you not love them? And finally, Royally Rearranged. Perfection. Absolute perfection. If you've ever wondered what a perfect couple looks like, it's that. I feel like I have to give it to Lights Out, but my Brutes of Bristlebrook are still there, Two Twisted Crowns are still there, and Royally Rearranged is still there. Best plot twist. I have 3 in the running for this. The Last Time I Lied. The ending of that just, But I feel like for winners, I feel like it's a toss-up between The Party by Natasha Preston. The end of that book had me staring off into the distance thinking, damn, she got me. She really got me. Crash. Let's maybe not topple the Tower of Books. Anyway, she got me. And Word D by Frida McFadden. The ending of this one, oh. This is what I want in thriller books. It is perfect and I loved it. And the ending was perfection. The worst book should come as no surprise to anyone. The Atlas 6 wasn't for me. The best book should also come as no surprise to anyone. Lights Out. Let's keep moving with things that maybe aren't as obvious. The best series that I read. The Brutes of Bristlebrook, definitely up there. I cannot wait for book 3, the Shepherd King duology. I was crying by the end of book 2. That says something. I had so many feelings about these books. It was a wild ride for me because I hated the first one. I hated how it ended. And then we go into book 2 and I just, yes. Legacy of Gods. The reason this is on there is because I have genuinely enjoyed each one of the books. Maybe not so much God of Wrath, but for the most part I've enjoyed reading all of these books. I've only read up to God of Ruin, so I have 2 left. But God of Ruin, I went into it hating Landon, came out of it loving him. I think that says something about the writing. The Ravenhood trilogy. Kate Stewart has emotionally damaged me beyond repair, and now I have trust issues. And lastly, Caraval. This is just a great series. I don't know why so many people don't like it. It is magical and fantastical and whimsical, and you get beautiful imagery without getting lost in the details. I loved these books. I loved the characters. I was so excited for Spectacular to come out because I wanted to go back to that world. But the fact that I spend so much time thinking about the Brutes of Bristlebrook, I feel like they have to win it. But it almost feels wrong to give it to anyone but the Shepherd King duology. And does a duology count as a series? We'll debate that later. Saddest / most traumatic. Well, Exodus goes without saying. This is the reason I have trust issues. I cried, I sobbed, this messed me up. But we want to talk messed up and traumatic. Saving Noah. I think about that book a lot, and I realized today, I was listening to a comedy skit, and they said something that reminded me of this book, and I realized in that moment that that book has changed my DNA. It has changed me. I didn't consent to this. Rock, paper, scissors was definitely traumatic for me specifically because it did not have a trigger warning for miscarriage/chemical pregnancy. I basically had to relive my own worst experience in the gym by myself. My husband wasn't there. He was at work. It was a bad experience and I was not happy. This is why trigger warnings exist. I didn't want to relive my worst experience. I was not in a mental state ready to deal with that. I wish that the author had given me that choice. But here we are. Lastly, Ask for Andrea. This one is so sad. It is so traumatic. If you have triggers around death in any context, this is not the book for you. It is intense. It can be a difficult read, absolutely. But it is also, it's so worth it. It is so well done. But for most traumatic, I feel like I want to give it to Exodus, but at the same time, I feel like I have to give it to Saving Noah because that book has messed me up. New favorite author that I discovered that year. I had to write so small here. Riley Sager, Rebecca Quinn, Rebecca Yarros, Rachel Gillig, Christy Boyce, Helen Pfeiffer, Emma St. Clair, Nevessa Allen. I read the most Riley Sager books. He was my most read author last year, but Rachel Gillig and Nevessa Allen and Emma St. Clair have all become auto-buy authors for me. Rebecca Yarros healed me as an author myself. Rebecca Quinn just wrote delicious stories. Helen Pfeiffer seemed to tap into my mind and write a book that was specifically written for my enjoyment. And Christy Boyce just wrote a book that I feel like is going to be healing to any nerdy Dungeons and Dragons player. And I love that. So honestly, I don't think I could pick a favorite. My highest rated, Dating and Dragons, The 7-Year Slip, and Lights Out. What can I say? My lowest rated, The Hunt, How Much To, and The Atlas 6. The Cringiest Book. Fangirl down. I don't know if it's because I hated the narrator so much, but there were things that I feel like I probably could have overlooked if the narrator didn't grate on my nerves, but every little thing that I found annoying was just made worse by the narrator. Things that I maybe could have overlooked before, but it just brought them out in all of their cringy glory. And yeah, I feel like that was the cringiest book I read all year. The most unique concept. 25 Days is definitely up there. In its presentation, it was so good. It's presented advent calendar style. It's 25 chapters meant to be read over the 25 days of Christmas. So you read chapter 1 on December 1st, and the events that are happening in chapter 1 are happening on December 1st in the book. You read chapter 2 on December 2nd, the events in chapter 2 are happening on December 2nd, and so on. The presentation of it, beautiful. The story was okay, but I love that concept. I would love to see a 14 days of Valentine's Day. I think that would be really cool. But I feel like I have to give it to Ask for Andrea. Ask for Andrea follows 3 girls that have all been murdered by the same man, and it shows how they experience the afterlife. One of them, she stays with her body after it's been dumped. She just wants her body to be found. Another one stays with the family of her killer. She wants to find out what happens and also wants to see if she can prevent it from happening to someone else. And then the third one is trying to find a way to communicate with her family. She wants her family to know what happened to her. I just think it's a beautifully presented and super unique concept, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little difficult to read at times, but it was so worth it. Finally, we have favorite quotes, and some of them aren't going to be a surprise at all. I had trouble picking just one, so I have 3. One is, of course, from Lights Out. No, goddammit, I did not need a brat kink on top of my newly awakened praise kink. The two were supposed to cancel each other out, not act as amplifiers. One is from Ward D. Will is going to break your heart just like all the others. Unless you kill him first. And the last one is not the one you think it is, but it is from Exodus. I'll find you again. I'll find you in my dreams. We'll have so many rainy days. And on that incredibly depressing note, I'll see you next time.